Okay, so we have a simple trinomial. One positive, one negative to multiply to negative 18. So we could do negative 1, 18, or 1 and 18. No. 2 and negative 7. Or what else could you do? Negative 2. Oh, 9. 9. Okay, so which one adds to 7? Negative 2 and positive 9. So remember, the larger number is positive when we want to add to a positive number. So negative 2 and 9. Negative 2 and 9. So when it's simple, do we have to do anything fancy, or can we go straight to factored form? Straight to, so it becomes x minus 2, x plus 9 equals 0. So we're almost done. So now what's the solutions? What are the roots? X equals positive 2, negative 9 would be the roots, because that's what would make it a zero product. That's it. Bingo. Okay, by decomposition. So there's no GCF. The middle number is 1, so right away we know there's no greatest common factor. Oh, the crown. So the crown. Okay. I'm like, something's wrong with my hair. No, the crown. Okay, so it's complex. We want two numbers that multiply to, if it's complex, 6 times negative 12, negative 72, and adds to negative 1. Negative 1. So we know it's obviously not going to be 72 times 1, right? It's not going to be 36 times 2. We want numbers that are very close together if they're going to add to 1. Okay, so 72 is a factor tree. 1 negative, 1 positive. So 1 times 72, 2 times 36. Does 3 go into it? Does 9 times 8 equal 72? Check in your calculator. It does. Now, if we want to add to negative 1, which one has to be negative? Negative 9. 8 and negative 9. Because we want to add to a negative, the larger is negative. So positive 8, negative 9. Can we just go straight to putting those numbers in the bracket? No. What are we going to do? Add them into the equation. Plus 8x minus 9x. We're going to place the middle term minus 12. So we replace negative x with those two new numbers, 8x minus 9x. Make sure not to forget the variable. Now when we have 4 terms, what do? Break them up into 2. So the first 2, what can we divide both by? 2x. No, it's not. Okay. The second one, what are we going to factor out? Negative 3. Whenever that first number is negative, we're going to bring out the negative as well. So where are we going to put the 2x? In the front. Now we divide. 6x squared divided by 2x. 3x plus 4. And then where's the minus 3 go? In front. And we're left with negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3x. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 plus 4. And now what can we factor out? Factor out 3x plus 4, and we're left with 2x minus 3. You're like, I know what to do, I just don't know how to say it. Okay, so what are my zeros? X is equal to over 3 and positive 3 over 2. Okay, now how else, if you're struggling getting from that second last step to this last step, remember you could also just set them to 0 and solve for x. Right? That's what we're doing. We want 3x plus 4 to equal 0. So we subtract 4. 3x equals negative 4. Divide by 3. So x equals negative 4/3. So we set them each to 0, each factor, and that's how we get our x's. Good? Okay. So is it possible to solve the quadratic equation by either of the above methods? So let's look at this new guy. looking at the new guy, is there a greatest common factor? 2, 8, and 5. No. Okay, simple or complex? Complex. 2 times. So we want two numbers that multiply to 10, add to negative 8. So if we're multiplying to a positive and adding to a negative, 2 negatives. 2 negatives. So how are we going to multiply 2 negatives? Let's list all the possible ways. So negative 2, negative 5, what else? Negative 1, negative 10. Are there any other that would multiply to a positive and add to a negative? No. That's it. Do any of them add to negative 8? No. No. So, uh-oh. Okay, so no, it cannot be solved by factoring.
I didn't know this could happen. You told me this couldn't happen. I asked you in the homework, I said, what if they don't go together? You said that won't happen.
Up to this point. Okay. No, wait, we're not done. But what if there is actually still an error? Let's graph this and see if there's a 0. Okay? So no, it can't be solved by factoring. So let's just grab your graphing calculator. We're just going to look at it. Okay? We're just going to look at it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's all okay. Grab your graphing calculator. Yeah, okay. Come on, open up. Okay, grab your calculators. Right click open. There we go. I agree. Wow. Do you have a 27-pound cat? No kidding. Mine's like 13 and that's obese. 27 is like, it's going to die of a heart attack. Okay. So, 2x squared. I want you to grab your calculators. Type this in. 2x squared minus 8x plus 5. And we want when it's equal to 0. So we want the x-intercepts, so the zeros. Kind of, yeah. To start off. So graph it. Are there zeros? Is there a solution? Yeah. There are x-intercepts. We couldn't factor it. And so if there's a factorable solution, that means our answer is a fraction or it's a whole number. So basically that means it's going to be a rational number. But there are times where our intersects are irrational numbers. And so how do we find those? How do we find those zeros? So we have a new formula for you. And I even have some songs to go with it. Yeah, I'm going to sing for you.
Do you have actions for them that are going to
No. The quadratic formula. Okay? The quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Yeah, we're going to sing. We are. Okay? The quadratic formula, if you can't factor it, we can still find the roots. And even if you don't factor it, this way we'll also find the roots. So this will always work to finding the solution.
What do we do for that last question?
Oh, we just write no, it can't be solved by factoring. Not by factoring, but there is a solution. How do we get it? But there is a solution.
So if we got a question like that on a test, we literally say we can't answer that?
No, we're going to use quadratic formula. Is it possible to solve the quadratic by either of the above methods? So by the above methods, we're factoring. No, not by factoring, because it was not factorable. Okay, so what's the quadratic formula? You can find your intercepts by using this formula. So when your equation is written in this form, ax squared plus Tim plus bx plus c, This formula will give you your intercepts. So let's look at this question here. Gavin is using the quadratic formula to find the roots. So here's that question we had before. So x equal A would be 1, B would be 7, C is negative 18. And so this is the formula. It's on your formula sheet. X equals B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. There should be a negative B. Yeah. Okay. So negative 7 plus or minus the square root of B squared, which is 7 squared, minus 4 times A times C. Okay, so he got the answer by actually using the quadratic formula. Same answers we did. Okay, so let's go through the next example and I'll show you how to use it.
Why does he have the bottom negative 7 minus 11 divided by 2, and then it says 4?
Because it's plus or minus. So we have to break it up.
Oh, so you just
Minus and then plus. So there's always 2. It's going to be 2 because it's a quadratic. Okay, so let's look at the next guy. So our A value is 6. B is negative 1. C is negative 12. So it's negative of our B. So negative, negative 1. It's going to become a plus 1. Plus or minus, what's our B? Negative 1 squared. B is negative 1. Minus 4 times A. A was 6 times C, negative 12, all over 2 times A. So 2 times our A is 6. Okay, so that we're going to simplify this. What's negative, negative 1? Positive 1 plus or minus the square root. Negative 1 squared. Negative times a negative. Always when you square a number, it's positive. So what's negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1 minus 4 times 6 times negative 12. So let's just type that in. 4 times 6. 4 times 6 times negative 12. Well, let's put the negative 4 in the front. So then you can just get the proper sign. So negative 4 times 6 times negative 12. It gives you plus 288. All over 2 times 6 is 12. So we get x equals 288 plus 1, 289. So plus or minus the square root of 289 all over 12. What's the square root of 289? Square root of 289. 17 on the money, right? Okay, so here's our solutions. There's 2. So x is going to do the positive and then the negative. 1 plus 17 over 12. What's 1 plus 17? 18 over 12. Can we reduce that? We divide both by? What can go into 18 and 12?
4.
6. Okay, 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6. 3. 12 divided by 6. 2. Okay, how else can you reduce your fractions? Math, enter, enter. Okay, next guy. We're now going to do 1 minus 17 divided by 12. What's 1 minus 17? Negative 16 over 12. What can we divide both by? 4. So negative 16 divided by 4. Negative 4 over 3. Is that what we had on the other page? Yes, it is. Exact same thing. Just a little bit more work. So going back to that question that we couldn't factor, let's now try it. And then I'm going to show you a video. Okay. So If we can't factor it, then we have to use the quadratic formula to get our zeros. Oh, yeah, the rest of, and tomorrow we'll practice the quadratic formula again. It could be either. Yeah. So negative b plus, so actually you can see this how I remember the formula. It's pop goes the weasel. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. No, it doesn't work. Watch. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
How do you think this? That was my question.
I find it.
Oh, you didn't make that up?
No, I'm not creative. Are you kidding me? Okay, I also have another video I'll show you after, though, of a quadratic formula song. Okay, so the question is, what's our a value? Let's write a, b, and c first. A is, looking at the equation, a is 2, b is negative 8, c is 5. Okay, so x equals negative b. So negative b, instead of writing negative 8, let's go straight to writing. So negative b, we can just plug it in as we see it if you want. Is that what you want to do first? Sure. Okay, negative, plug in our b. What's our b? Negative 8 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So negative 8 squared minus 4 times a. What's a? 2 times c, 5, all over 2 times a. So 2 times, what's our a value? 2. Okay, so x equals, so negative b, 8 just becomes 8 plus or minus the square root. Okay, what's negative 8 squared? Negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. Okay, negative 4 times 2 times 5. So negative 40 is 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5. All over 2 times 2, 4. So x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 64 minus 40. 14-ish is correct. No, 24. Ish. Over 4. Okay, so now we're going to solve for them in our calculator. Okay, we're going to get the two values in our calculator. So x equals, grab your calculator. So first start with the plus. Now one thing you need to remember is invisi brackets for the numerator. So bracket, we'll first do 8 plus square root of 24. Close the bracket for the square root and the numerator divided by 4. So that's the first one. So the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. 3.22. What was that noise? Then way to stick up for your friend. Okay, did you get it? Okay, and then the easy way to get the next one, second enter, Stacy, you with us? Yeah, okay. And then just go back and change it to a minus. 8 minus square root of 24 all over 4, 0.7, nearest hundredth? 0.78. There you go. So there's our solutions. Those are the intersection points. How could you check your work on your calculator? So that could work. You go trace 3.22. The y should be about 0. It's pretty close to it. Okay. The other way you could have checked is go second trace, number 2. Remember, go the left side, enter, right side, enter, enter. You should get 3.22. Cool, hey? There it is. If I asked you to use quadratic formula, then you have to use it. Quadratic. If it says algebraically, this is the algebraic way. If I say graphically, then you can use your calculator. Okay, I will. I might. Okay, so 1 to 4 for this assignment. And some of you need to catch up, right, on some work. So you have some time now to work on that. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.